October, November 2019. Let's go back to this page. Here's it. Right, this was part of
Oh, it is.
your previous
Oh, okay,
week's
fine.
question. So there, question
Oh,
one,
okay,
October,
I
November
got it.
2019. So that's the one that we've looked at. That was question
Okay.
one.
All right, so I'll check my answers then after the class.
Yeah, well, if you've
For the
redone
bank.
it, then that's great. Then you can just confirm, do your answers match with these ones? Okay, so this is what I did with you last time. This is something that you can maybe redo and check just to make sure that you're on the right
Right,
track.
I'll redo it. I didn't do the balances. I struggled with the balances and that, but I'll come back and look at it.
Okay, yeah, we can do another bank recon. We can do one maybe from not October,
The
the May,
other week.
June, if there is a question in
Okay.
that paper.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so
Thank
let's
you.
complete this past paper, and then you've got answers for these newer
Yeah.
exam papers. Question two is October, November 2019. If you go look at the question, you'll see here you're looking at membership fees. They want a
Yeah, this I
membership fees
had.
account,
Yeah.
they want a trading statement, and income and expenditure statement. That's a long question. Okay, 34
Okay.
minutes, 28 marks. You should be following the minutes in terms of time, so you shouldn't waste too much time on a particular question. But if you remember from last week, the bank recon didn't take us 30 minutes. And that helps
Yes.
us bank a bit of time when we're actually in the exam. So, just a tip in terms of exam
Yes.
technique, always look at the questions that you can do that are the easiest. Okay, don't start with the
Right.
most difficult question because you're going to
Mental state.
struggle, you're going to feel unsure of yourself, you're going to get nervous, and then the rest of the
Yes.
exam's not going to go well. Okay, remember, the paper's out of 100. You need to first aim for 50. Okay, you need to pass the question or all the questions, you need to pass the paper, and then you can focus on trying to go for a distinction. Okay, so always start with questions that you like doing, okay, questions that you're confident in completing. So if you
Yeah.
like the bank recon, in this paper it was question one, so we would have started with it, even if we didn't
Yes.
look at that exam technique tip. Okay, because it's the first question, most students would have started with it. But if the bank recon is question three or question four, even, but you see there's a bank recon in the question, then start with it. Okay, it doesn't matter where you start
Okay.
as long as you've completed all the questions. Okay, so that's just
Okay.
a tip in terms of exam technique. I don't know how that's going to work because you mentioned it's
With
going to be
multiple
an
choice.
online test. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
can go backwards and forwards and can you answer different questions. That might be a bit of a problem. But if it was
Yeah.
written, then you would obviously follow that approach.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so do the easy
So
questions first. Pass the.
I looked at this. I'm sorry, I looked at it and I wasn't sure at all what to do. The
Okay,
rest of the two, three, and two and three.
okay, yeah. So two, three, and four. Four is also easy in terms of multiple choice, so that wouldn't take too long to do. If you've studied your content, your theory, you would probably be able to answer those questions quite quickly. Okay, so I'm
Yes.
just going to go in order. We'll just look at question two.
Okay.
Question two is covering the membership fees, so we need to fit this in terms of our content. So remember, it's important to identify which chapters am I actually going to be applying in which situation. That's important to note. Because if you know what they're testing, then you'll know what to apply when looking at different questions. So we know this is obviously looking at those non-profits, okay, those clubs, right, those businesses that don't fall under a sole proprietor. Question
Okay.
two, they've given you the following information pertains to a martial arts club. Okay, there's already a note there, right? A non-profit. Okay, obviously a martial arts club would be operating, okay, for the benefit of a particular purpose, okay, or discipline. So here it would obviously be part of the performing arts, and we're looking specifically at martial arts, and that's based in Midrand. Okay, the date is important because you're obviously going to be looking at the financial year. So the start of the year would be 1st of Jan.
Right.
The end would have been the 31st of December. So that's always important to note because of potential adjustments during the year and also at the end of the year. At the end of the year, you can have adjustments, and adjustments are provided to create a set of financial statements that are more accurate.
Right.
You've got an extract from the list of balances. Right, let's test your basics. Do you know what accounting element these things are? Land and buildings, what is it?
I think it's PPE, asset,
Good, it's an asset. Furniture and equipment.
also an asset.
Good. Accumulated depreciation.
Expense.
No, it's accumulated depreciation. Depreciation is an
Oh, it's
expense.
a negative asset.
Yes, accumulated depreciation is a negative asset because it's offset against the costs of those assets in order to calculate the carrying value.
Okay.
Okay, that's from chapter, I don't know what the chapter number is, but it's the property, plant, and equipment chapter. And that's where you looked at depreciation calculations and so on. Okay, that's an easy one. Telephone expenses, there's the answer. It's an expense. Wages.
Expense.
Good. Water and electricity.
Expense.
Yes, okay. Current accounts, and then they've written here, stand bank.
I'm not sure. Oh, an account. I have no idea.
Okay, what type of account is this?
A liability.
No, it's a bank account.
Oh, sorry, it's a bank account, but a current. I thought it was on credit. Okay.
Okay, remember a current account would be like a check account. Okay, a current account, check account, that's what the banks call a particular banking product. So you get savings accounts, you get investment accounts, you get loan accounts, home loan accounts. Okay, those different accounts are for different purposes.
Yeah.
So in this question, you've got a current account. So that means this business has money sitting in their account. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, it's a favorable bank balance.
Okay.
So what does that make it?
So it's an asset.
Good. Okay, it's an asset because you have money in the bank account. Okay. You can see it's not a credit. It's a positive line item. Okay. Well, they haven't shown debits and credits, so you actually wouldn't be able to look at that. Okay. You'd have to look at this current account, meaning it's favorable. Okay.
Right.
It's not an overdraft. Okay. If it was in overdraft, that would be negative.
Okay. All right.
Fees received for the karate tournament. What is that?
An asset.
No, that wouldn't be an asset. It's not a resource that we control.
Fees received. Oh, it's an income.
Yes. Okay. Income. Investment at 12% per annum at Stan Bank.
A liability.
No, this is an investment. Would an investment have an obligation to pay in the future?
No,
Okay.
It's an asset.
Yes, so you need to remember if you're unsure in terms of what these things are, then you need to go back to the basic definitions. What is the definition of an asset?
It's a resource controlled by the entity.
Good. Okay, resource that's controlled by the entity that'll give rise to future economic benefit, right? Okay, that's a summarized definition. Okay, keyword, resource, and then inflow of benefit. Those two things are important to remember. Right, definition for liability.
It's an obligation to pay.
Yes, good. So present obligation that's going to give rise to an outflow of benefit in the future. So what does the investment do? Does the investment give you something in the future or take something away in the future?
Gives you something in the future.
Yes. Okay, so any investment would be considered an asset.
Right.
Interest income, the answer's there. Interest expense, the answer's there. Refreshments, not stationery, refreshments. Inventory.
Is inventory an asset?
Yes. Okay, so the refreshments would be part of a store. Okay, so at a martial arts club, you've probably got some sort of vendor who's selling goods. Okay, they're selling refreshments. And because you've got the word inventory here, this would be the stock that's being sold.
Right.
The date is important. Beginning or end?
End.
Think again.
Oh, oh, sorry. It's the beginning. It's the beginning.
Okay, it's the end of last year, which is the beginning of this year.
Right.
Purchase of refreshments, what is that?
Um, I'm going blank here. So it just says an expense.
Yes, it's an expense that relates to inventory,
Okay.
the refreshments. Sale of refreshments?
Income.
Yes. Accumulated fund.
Income, I think, or asset.
Okay, with an accumulated fund, this is actually looking at retained earnings. So you would look at this as being equity for a non-profit.
Oh, okay.
Right, so for a martial arts club, remember, nobody actually owns the club. There will be different members that belong to the club. Right, there might be what do they call them? A custodianship, where you've got people that basically look after the club, and they're obviously nominated by the club to manage the operations of the club, but nobody actually owns it. Right, everybody
Right.
owns the club as long as they're a member. They own, well, they're not really an owner. The word owner is the wrong word to use. Okay, that's why they use the word member. Okay, membership. So you're a
Okay.
member of the club. Right, you might have people who help manage the club, like a chairman and maybe some trustees that will then manage the club. But those members or those trustees, okay, the chairman doesn't own the club. It's not their club. Right, if they leave the club, somebody else would obviously fill that role and manage the club. Right, so that's just something to consider. Okay, remember, this is a club that we're looking at not from a business point of view. So don't think about a gym membership, okay, in terms of like going to a
Okay.
gym where you're paying a company a fee to use their facilities. Okay, that's different. A martial arts club, right, or a science club, or an art club, or a book club. Okay, those are run differently. Okay, remember, we're not looking at a business, we're looking at a non-profit.
Right. Okay.
And that's the important bit because now we're looking at a specific chapter in the actual course material that's looking at one type of business. Okay, this is a business that's there in order to meet a specific purpose. Okay, the purpose could be to promote martial arts or to promote golf. Okay, a golf club or whatever it is. It's just a club, it's just a non profit. Okay, they're run for a particular purpose. Right, so the
Okay.
application is a bit different because you're not thinking along the lines of a business, you're thinking more along the lines of a institution. Okay, and how does this institution need to account for the transactions that take place at the business? Right, so that could
Right.
be sales of refreshments. Okay, remember that's going to benefit the club. It's not going to benefit anybody that owns the club. There's no ownership here, and that's why you have an accumulated fund. Okay, if this martial arts club does well and they have a surplus, okay, you're not going to talk about a profit or a loss here. You're going to be talking about a surplus or a deficit because this is a non-profit. A deficit. Okay, a deficit. So meaning they've got more in terms of receipts than payments. Okay, income expenses basically. Right, the last one is just an expense that would be incurred for hosting the tournaments that happen at this club. Right, so now you've got an idea of what you're dealing with in this question. It's very important, okay, to note what has been given in the question. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. As I go down, I'm just scanning it and I'm seeing, well, what did they give me? Right, then I look at the additional information. I see, okay, we've got additional information, meaning I need to adjust, okay, for these different points. Right, it's important to note what they're asking you to do. So, the required, prepare the following for the martial arts club. The membership fees account properly balanced off. Right, if we're looking specifically at an account and they're talking about it as being balanced off, that's a general ledger account. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so what does a general ledger account look like?
It's a T account.
Good. Okay, you've got a debit side, you've got a credit side, and then you've got some things that need to be processed to show things that increase or decrease that specific account. Okay, membership fees, what type of account is it?
Um, it's an, it's an expense.
Membership
Or
fees.
Income.
Okay, yes. Whose perspective are we looking at?
We're looking at the club.
Correct. Okay, so if the club is going to be collecting membership fees, you'd be treating this as an income. So then you have to
Right.
apply the rules, right? Debit minus, credit plus.
Right.
Because income accounts follow that rule. All income accounts have to follow the accounting rule as outlined from IFRS. Okay, remember IFRS gives you the guidelines in terms of application. Okay, if you don't know your IFRS, you're not going to know how to process the membership fees accounts. Okay, credit there plus, debit there minus.
Okay.
What else do they want? B, the trading statement for the refreshments for the year ended. Right, it's a statement, not an account. Okay, so you're not going to show a T account in terms of sales and cost of sales. You're going to show a trading statement. That would just be a line by line type situation. So let's just label this A. Okay, B. Right, B is a trading statement for the refreshments. Right, so asterisks. Sometimes you get different questions. Okay, if you've gone through the study material, you would have seen in some of the UNISA examples they talk about a bar. Okay, you might have a bar that's at a particular club. Okay, maybe it's a tennis club. So for example, a tennis club will have a courthouse, okay, or a clubhouse. That's the right word. Okay, not courthouse, clubhouse. Right, at the clubhouse, there's probably going to be a bar, okay, or a dining area, right, somewhere where you can actually purchase refreshments and drinks and eats and stuff like that. So this is what we're looking at specifically here. Okay, so refreshments would be for the dining area, okay, the bar, all right, the canteen, whatever it is. Okay, so different questions use different, let's say, scenarios. Okay, so in this scenario, we're obviously running a martial arts club, and it's probably more informal, right? Unless they've got a specific shop, okay, or store at the actual premises, it's probably going to run more informally. Okay, someone's probably going to be selling refreshments, and that's going to be for the club, and then that revenue needs to go through the club. So that's the trading statement. Okay, remember, with the trading statement, you're going to have sales, you're going to have cost of sales. Right, with cost of sales, you might have to do a working for cost of sales if it's a periodic system. Right, and if I do need to do a calculation for cost of sales, then I'm going to show the working. Right, then I'm going to show my totals, my answers. All right, so those are my columns. Okay, a working column and then a total column. I'm going to show gross profit because any business that trades, okay, buying and selling, will have sales and cost of sales. And the difference between sales and cost of sales would be a gross profit. And that gross profit would be attributable to the actual club. The last component of this question, income and expenditure statement. Okay, notice they don't call it a profit and loss statement or a comprehensive income statement, because you're not looking at a business. There aren't any owners here, right? It's members of the club. Okay, those members have a club that is either in a good or bad position depending on how much revenue has been collected during the year. So if I'm looking at the income and expenditure statement, again, the keyword, statement. So what do? I draw up a statement. Okay, copy paste that, and we'll just replace this, income and expense statement for the martial arts club for the year ended 31st December 2018. Okay, so that's the club. Right, so again, depending on whether this is multiple choice or long question, it doesn't matter. Right, even if this is multiple choice, you're still going to be given a scenario. Okay, they have to. So if they give you a scenario, I would complete the entire scenario as is, like I'm doing here, on separate paper, or do it electronically on a laptop or computer. And then afterwards, I'm literally going to go and then pick and choose answers. Right, very similar to how I showed you the approach in the assignments. Okay, when we did assignment 1 and 2. Okay, with long questions, I do the whole question like a written question. Okay, then I just go and I pick and choose the answers once I've completed it. Okay, because if you've done the whole question, okay, you've got everything, you've got your answer. Then you're just looking for those answers and then you're choosing the right options if it's multiple choice.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to go back and we need to start right at the beginning. We need to go down the list and we need to get all our easy marks. Okay, if this was a written paper, obviously workings will carry marks, so you need to show as much workings as possible. Okay, what I'm doing here is what I would do on the answer sheet. Okay, so if I was writing this exam in an exam venue, okay, I would have paper that I would be using to do all these workings. Everything that I have here, I would be doing. Same thing if it was online. Okay, whatever I do online, I might even do it on my laptop then if it was online. I don't have to write all of this out. Maybe, I don't know how good your Excel skills are, but if your Excel skills are quite good, then you can do it on Excel like how I've been doing it, and then that's also saving time. You're not having to add up everything manually. Okay, you don't have to grab your calculator and add up 10 different amounts. I can just sum up amounts in Excel. Right, so use that to help you. Because it's online, they're not going to know if you're doing this manually using a calculator with pen and pencil, or if you're using technology and you're using the benefits of Excel. All right, so just plan your approach. Okay, go into the exam prepared because you're probably going to have a deadline. I don't know if they'll give you the 2 hours or if they'll give you more than that.
Yeah, and then they said an hour and 25 minutes.
Wow, only an hour and 25. Interesting. Okay, so they've shortened it a bit.
Yeah, so they said, I don't know, the details may change, but so far that's what the announcement was last night.
Okay, all right, yeah. So that's good. At least they're announcing some of the details because the students do need to know what's going to happen, obviously, because you need to prepare. So that's great. So if they've shortened the test, they're probably going to give you less questions.
Yes, okay, that's good.
Okay, so this is what I would do. Whether it's written or online, it makes no difference. I'm going to go down the list and I'm going to insert these things where I need to put them. Okay, land and buildings, from what I've read in the question, okay, I need these three things: membership fees, a trading statement, and an income and expenses statement for the martial arts club. Right, I'm not going to be drawing up a balance sheet, okay, which is the old name for the statement of financial position. Okay, in the statement of financial position, I would be showing assets, liabilities, and equity. Right, I haven't been asked to do that, so I'm not going to do more than I have to. Okay, because then you're wasting time and then you're never going to finish the question paper. Okay, so they've asked me for three things, A, B, and C, and that's what I'm sticking with. Right, and that's why it's important to scope the question out in terms of the required, because once you know what you've been asked to do, you're only going to do those three things. This question's out of 28. It's not out of 40. Okay, and that's why they're not asking a D, which is a statement of financial position, which they could have asked in another question. Okay, I'm just abbreviating. Okay, financial position. Right, that's very important because now you know what to look at. What am I looking at? Income and expenses. I'm not going to look at assets and liabilities unless it affects the income and expenses. Okay. Right, so would I look at the land and buildings? No, because it's an asset. Will I look at the furniture and equipment? No, because it's an asset. Will I look at that? No, because that's a negative asset. Will I look at this? Yes. Telephone expenses. Okay, let me just see if I'm reading the right line. I just want to draw a line across. Okay, so we just know where we are.
It's not just
2000.
Not just me that struggles with it.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't hear.
I said I'm glad it's not just me. I also do the whole line thing.
Yeah, so if this was printed, then I would be using a ruler just to look at each amount. Okay, yeah, but it's electronic, so we're just going to have to draw a line just so that we don't make a mistake with the referencing of the amounts. Okay, it would have been nice if you need to put little dots here right up till the end, or they gave you little lines like that just to separate it, but it's fine. Okay, you've got to use what you have to answer it. Okay, it'll probably look different as well. I don't think it's going to be in this format because if it's online, it's probably going to be like multiple choice, so question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. Similar to your assignment.
Yes, like that format,
Okay, so telephone 2000. Where is telephone going to go? Not in A, not in B, in C. Okay, obviously you need headings here. Income, leave space, expense. Okay, what expense? Telephone. In bracket, 2000. Okay, next, wages. Okay, wages is that one, the next amount. 32,500. Wages is also an expense. 32,500. Water and electricity, another expense. What is the amount? 12,000. Okay, see, this is exam technique. This is how you would do a written question, an online multiple choice question, any question. Okay, you just got to follow the right process. Right, get marks for your workings. These are workings. Okay, I'm going to have to either adjust these amounts or leave them as is. Okay, current account bank. It's an asset. Don't need it. Fees received for the karate tournament. I do need that. Okay, these are fees received for the karate tournament. Okay, so important. Okay, because they're referring to fees, we know this is income. Right, this is specifically for a karate tournament. So this would be part of income. Fees for the tournament in brackets. Next figure, 70,000. The investment, it's an asset. Interest income, 3168. Interest expense, expense. Amount, 1,500. Refreshments inventory, notice. We spoke about it earlier, opening stock. Okay, if it's opening stock, what am I going to do?
I don't think it goes in.
Pardon?
Do you include it?
You do? Okay, but think about it. Opening stock. When do you have opening stock?
It's the beginning of the year.
Yes, for what system?
Opening periodic.
Good. Okay, so when looking at what we've been given, it's not going to go in A, it's going to go in B. Cost of sales now has a formula. Opening stock. Add purchases. Less purchases returns. Add other costs. Less closing stock. Okay, I've studied my periodic inventory management system theory from the inventory chapter. I know there's a formula for cost of sales, and I know if I've been given opening stock, okay, and I've been given purchases in the question, I know I'm dealing with a formula for cost of sales. 20,000 is the refreshments inventory at the beginning of the year. Purchases of refreshments during the year was 50,000. So 20,000 was the opening stock. 50,000 was the purchases. Okay, go back. Sale of refreshments. That's going to go here in the trading statement, and I'm going to take the gross profit, which is going to then go forward, okay, from the trading statement to the income and expenses statement. You would have had a profit or loss from the refreshment canteen sales. Okay, whatever it is. Okay, that gross profit is going to be highlighted there. Unhighlight that. Okay. Right, so that's the sales figure. How much sales did this business generate? 60,000. Next, accumulated fund. I'm not looking at equity, so I'm not going to worry about that. If I was looking at a statement of financial position, then that would be relevant. Karate tournament expenses, 20,000. $40,000. Let's just check. Ooh, 20,000. The last one, not the other one. Okay, the 40 was for the accumulated fund. Tournament expenses, 20,000. Tournament expenses, yeah, 20,000. Right, so now you've looked at this list of accounts and you've gotten all the inverted commas easy working marks, okay, to obviously adjust for later on. Okay, now it gets a bit more tricky in terms of application because you need to look at each and every one of these points. Right, point number 1, 31st December 2017. That's important, beginning of the year. Okay, 5 members had not paid their membership fees, and 6 members paid their membership fees for January and February. Right, so what do you have here? What is this looking at?
It's an accrued expense.
Okay, not accrued expenses.
The beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the year, but what is this? What is membership fees not yet paid?
Liability.
No, think about it. Whose business are we looking at?
The member. It's a.
The martial arts club.
Right.
If the martial arts club has members that haven't paid, how are you going to view that?
Oh, it's like a credit loss.
No, it's not a credit loss. They haven't paid. They're still going to pay. You haven't written them off.
It's accrued income.
There we go. Okay, that's
sorry.
chapter. I don't know what the number is, but that's the adjustments chapter. Okay, accrued income.
Chapter 6.
Okay, yeah, you know the chapter's good. Okay, so accrued income. What is accrued income? It's an asset.
Right.
Okay, when did this apply? Last year. Right, if it applied last year, you need to reverse it out this year. Okay, so this accrued income, because it's an asset, it would have had a debit balance. Right, so how do you decrease a debit balance? You would have to credit it. Right, so you would credit the accrued income to remove it from last year to include it in this year. So if you're crediting last year's accrued income, you're going to debit this year's membership fee income. So this is going to go here. In the membership fees account, okay, you're going to have accrued membership fee income. This would have been 2017. Okay, because that would have come from 2017. Right, you would have credited that account and you would have debited this account to process that accrual.
Okay.
How much did you have here? Let's see. 5 members had not paid. 6 members had paid. We don't know how much each member has paid. We need to look at the next line. The membership fees for MM Martial Arts Club for the year was $485 per month for the 2018 year, $525 for the 2019 year, and it will be $565 per month. Hold on. Oh, okay. I see it. 2017, $485. 2018, $525. 2019, $565. Okay, so you've got 3 years. Okay, the current year is obviously 2018. Right, so you're looking at last year, which is 2017, and you're looking at next year, which is 2019. So that's what I'm looking at. So this is going to use that. Okay, so 5 members had not paid their membership fees. 5 members had not paid the membership fees, and that was for last year. So 2017, 485 times 5. $45 times 5 is 2425. 6 members paid their membership fees for January and February, and that was last year. So that would have been what? What is that adjustment going to be called?
For last year, it's not income in advance.
It is.
Is it?
Yes. Okay, because in 2017 you received 2018's fees.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so income received in advance is what type of account?
It's a liability.
Good. So if it's a liability, it'll have what balance?
Credit.
Good. Okay, so this is last year's accrual. If I remove this accrual from last year to apply it this year, I'm going to debit this account, so then I would credit this account. Okay, so this would be membership fees received in advance, okay, from 2017. How many members? 6. 6 members paying 525. 2018's membership fee was 525. So 6 members, okay, times 525 times 2 months.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just looking at this. I see this 5 members had not paid their membership fees. So is that for 1 month or for the whole year? I would assume that's the whole year. So we need to times it by
Right.
12 because this was per month. Okay, times 5 members times 12 months. All right, so I'm going to multiply this by 12. Okay.
Oh, right.
Right, so that would be the membership fee income. 5 members not paying for the whole year. Okay, they didn't tell you how many years they didn't pay for. That's the only problem with this. It's a little bit vague. Okay, 5 members had not paid their membership fees. Okay, fine. But now, how many months didn't they pay for? That's my question. Okay, but
Right.
I can't guess, so I need to assume. I'm going to assume the whole year. Okay, if they haven't told me anything, I'm going to say, well, okay, they haven't paid me for the whole year then. All right,
Okay.
here they told you it was for 2 months. 6 members paid their membership fees for January and February. So see, now I know it's 2 months. Okay,
Yeah.
so I can take the 525, which is 2018's rate, 525 per month, times 6 members, times 2 months. Okay, let's work
So
that
is it
out.
not
Let's see what we get.
Is it not
5,
2/12? Sorry, is it not 2/12?
no, because the amount is per month.
Oh, okay, fine.
Okay,
All right.
it's not
Oh,
per
fine.
year.
Okay, fine.
If it was per year, it'll be a fraction of the year.
Okay, I see.
Okay, it's
Thanks.
per month. So it's 525 per month. There's 6 members and they both or they all didn't pay for 2 months.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so 6,300. 525 times 6 members times 2 months. Okay, so now we've looked at number 2.1. Once I've looked at it, I can cross it out. I don't have to look at it again. Okay, number 2.2. I've looked at this and I've looked at that. Okay, I might need this. I'm still going to leave that as is. Okay, I can cross out the other stuff that I don't need. Okay, 2.3. Membership fees received until 31st December 2018 amounted to. Okay, we've got a figure. What is this? This is membership fees actually received during the year. Right, so when you receive membership fees, how do you receive membership fees? By collecting the actual fee or the cash. So bank would have been debited. Okay, if you debit your bank, because bank is increasing, you're going to credit your membership fees. Just putting some abbreviation, additional understanding. 2018 collections, 13,125.
Right.
Okay, 13125. 13125. Right, membership fees received during the year. Cross that out. Next, 2.4. The membership fees of 2 members were in arrears at 31st December, okay? And 3 members' fees was received in advance for January. Okay, so what are you looking at? You're looking at the current year's accruals. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so same as before. Accrued income. 2 members were in arrears. If they're in arrears at 31st December 2018, what does that mean?
They owed money.
Correct. They owe the business money. They owe the entity money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so if they're owing and they say they're in arrears at 31st December, right? So again, is this for 1 month? Is this only for December or is this for the whole year? Right, again, it's a bit unclear. They should have said 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. Right, how many months are they in arrears? That's the question mark. Right, they should have done better with this wording. Okay, are they arrears for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? How many months are they in arrears for? That's the question. Okay, so I'm going to assume the 12 months again, all right? And then we can always change it later on if the amounts don't work out in terms of the balancing, okay? Because you need an expense figure or an income figure actually here for the membership fees. All right, so we'll see later if they meant 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or the whole year. All right now, it's a question mark, okay? We don't know. 2 members were in arrears, okay, we know that, but we don't know how many months they're in arrears for. Right, so what am I going to do? Well, accrued income is a asset. You're going to debit the accrued income, so you would have to credit the membership fees income account. So you're going to have this, accrued membership fee income, but this is for the current year. All right, because you're debiting the accrued income and then you're crediting this account. Membership fees, and the membership fees would have been for 2 members, so 2 members times... remember, this is for 2018. So how much do they have to pay in 2018? I'm going to just have to reveal this. Let's delete. Okay, 2018, 525. I need that figure. 525 per month. Okay, times question mark months, but I'm going to assume the 12 months again, okay, because that's what we did earlier.
Okay, right.
All right, I'm going to show that here. Just put that in red. Okay, and this one in red as well. Okay, that they didn't specify. They didn't tell you how many months they're in arrears for. Right, that was my assumption. Okay, everything else is exactly as is in terms of what the question is providing. Right, the only thing the question doesn't provide is this. How many months was it in arrears for?
Okay.
Okay, the next part of that question says 3 members received, okay, in advance for January. There's 1 month. Right, so what is that? That's income received in advance. Income received in advance is a liability. So you would credit income received in advance. If you're crediting income received in advance, you'd be debiting this account. Okay, so membership fees received in advance for 2018. You're going to show how many members. Let's go back. 3 members. This was for 2019. 2019's rate is 565. Okay, so 565 per month times 3 members times 1 month is 565 times 3 members times 1 month, 1,695. Okay, for this one we can also work that out. Let's work it out. 2 members times 525 times 12 months. Okay, is that figure. Right, is that okay so far? Are you happy with what I've done?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. All right, so we're just applying the accrual for this month, this year. Okay, so we've looked at that one, we've looked at that one, we've looked at that one, we've looked at that one. Okay, next. 2.5. 2 new members join the martial arts club during the year. The entrance fees of $485 per person was included in the membership fees received amount. Okay, that's bad. You cannot include entrance fees in membership fees. It needs to be disclosed separately. Okay, IFRS says you have to disclose or distinguish between different types of income. Okay, so my entrance fees are separate from my membership fees. Right, this $485 per person was included in the membership fees received amount. Okay, so where's my membership fees received amount? Here, the collections. Okay, this 13,125. All right, so I need to adjust 13,125 minus, okay, open brackets, the entrance fees. How much is the entrance fees? 2 members, 485 per person. Okay, so 2 times 485.
Right.
Close brackets, close brackets. Okay, now we need to adjust that figure because we need to process a correction. Okay, you can't show the entrance fees as part of the membership fees. Okay, so if you do that working, right, 13,125 less 2 times 485 gives you 12,155. Right, what am I going to do with this? Well, that represents entrance fees. Right, entrance fees is a separate income. It's separate from membership fees. So you'd have to show that, not part of trading, but part of income. So under this heading, I need to show my entrance fees. Okay, 2 times 485, close brackets, and then write down the answer. Okay, what is that? Let's see. 2 times 485 is 970. Right, so the business is going to show separate entrance fees of 970 in the income and statements expenditure, income and expenses statement for the year, showing that as an expenditure line item.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm looking at each one separately. One scenario, one working, go adjust, and then continue. All right, so have I looked at everything there? Yes. Okay, I've taken out the entrance fees from the membership fees, and I've captured the entrance fees separately. Tick. Next, 2.6, inventory of refreshments at 31st December 2018. There's the closing stock. Okay, you had opening stock earlier, now I've got closing stock. This is 12,000. I'm going to tick it because I know what to do with this, right? Periodic requires closing stock for the cost of sales. How much was it? 12,000. There's my closing stock. Right, next. Mr. Singh's membership fees of 1,070 for 2017 must be written off as irrecoverable. Right, if it's irrecoverable, that means you've written off the member. Right, so if you've written off the member, you're going to reduce your membership fees. Right, so 20.7 is going to be a credit loss. A credit loss would be a debit or a credit. It would be a debit. Okay, a credit loss is an expense. Right, so you debit the credit loss. Okay, you would credit the membership fees. That we have to multiply. No, we didn't. 1070. Right, credit losses for membership fees. Now we've got that. Right, we've looked at it. Next. Okay, 2.8. Martial Arts Club returned bottled water purchased for 500 from ARKO stores due to them being defective. Right, what is that? That's purchase returns. I know I'm dealing with a periodic system, so 500 is going to go here, purchase returns. 500 for purchase returns. Right, I've looked at it, carry on. 2.9, depreciation.
How would I know, how would I know that purchases returns go in the trading account?
How would you know that purchase returns will go into trading account? Because this is a template regarding the trading activities for a business. So what does trading entail? Buying and selling.
Buying and selling, right. Okay.
Right, so what represents the buying? Your purchases, which is your cost of sales.
Okay, got it.
What represents your selling? Your sales. Okay, when I'm looking at a trading statement, I'm looking at the difference between cost of sales and sales. Right, the only reason why I'm doing this working is because I have a periodic system.
Okay.
If I have a periodic system, then I have to use a formula to work out cost of sales. And that's why I need to write down the formula and substitute anything that I've been given in the question that relates to what I've got.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Depreciation on furniture and equipment is provided for at 10% per annum using a straight line method. That's brilliant. Okay, straight line method, the easy method. Okay, I don't have to worry about carrying value. The depreciation for the year ended 31st December 2018 must still be provided for. Right, so that means you need to calculate the depreciation. It hasn't been provided. You know it's 10% per annum. It's straight lines. That's simple. Go take your furniture and equipment figure and times it by 10%. That's all you have to do. Right, what is depreciation? It's an expense. Where are expenses disclosed? On the income and expenditure line item, or as a line item on the income and expenditure statement. Okay, so depreciation for furniture and equipment. Open brackets. Right, now we need a balance. Okay, we know it's 10% per annum, straight line. Okay, furniture and equipment at cost, 50,000 times 10%. Okay, what is that? Let's check. 50,000 times 10%, 5,000. Right, we've looked at it, tick, move on. Okay, the last two, 2.10. The wage of 2,500 of one of the karate instructors for January was paid on 31st December 2018. What does that represent?
It's paid in advance.
Good. Okay, a prepaid expense.
Yeah. Oh, a prepaid expense.
Right, because wages is an expense. If I've paid it, I've prepaid it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so the wages of 2.5 need to be reduced. Okay, the wages. Subtract 2.5. Why am I subtracting it? It's too high.
Right.
Okay, debit prepaid expense. Credit wages. Right, what do I have in this question? Wages. What am I doing to wages? I'm crediting it. If I credit an expense, what does that do to the expense? It decreases it. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm just showing that working. That's just additional. Okay, next. 2.11. Interest income for the month of December is still due. Still due means it hasn't been provided for. This is interest income. Okay, this is for the month of December, so we need to go back. Right, how long is this investment? How long is this investment invested for? A year at 12% per annum. Okay, have you received December's interest?
No.
No. So what is that?
It's accrued expense.
It's not an expense. It's income.
No, not expense. Sorry, accrued income.
Yes. Okay, accrued income means I'm still going to receive the interest later on.
Right.
Okay, so you debit the accrued income and you credit the interest. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, debit accrued income, credit interest income. That's the working. Right, so now I know what to do. Interest income needs to go up, plus, open brackets. I need to work out the interest for 1 month. Where's my investment? Here's my investment. Okay, let's just be careful. Let's just read the right line. Ooh, it's getting a bit messy. Let's just rub this out. Okay, can I put a block? Yeah, let's put a block. Okay, investment at 12% per annum. Okay, this was actually 28,800. Good thing I made a line. Okay, so 28,800 is the investment. 28,800 is the investment times 12% interest per annum times how many months? 1.
Yeah.
Let's work that out. Okay, 3168 plus open brackets 28,800 times 12% times 1 over 12 close brackets answer. Okay, 3456. That's the interest income that will be shown for the year. Right, have I looked at the whole question? Yes. Okay, so now I don't have to look at the question. I just need to go look at my answer and I need to wrap up. Right, so let's go to our membership fees. Let's balance this account. How do we balance accounts?
You add them up.
Correct. You add up both sides and you see which side is bigger. Which side's bigger here?
The credit.
Good. Okay, the credit side is bigger. If the credit side is bigger, you're going to write down that total on both sides. Okay, and that's good. That does meet what we would expect. Okay, you would expect the income account, okay, to have a profit and loss transfer, okay, as the balancing figure. Right, this balancing figure amount goes to your income and expense statement. Okay, so we just need to work out the balance. It's this minus those two figures. Okay, 1330. That's the amount that I'm going to process under income for membership fees. Asterisk, this is from the T account. You'll always have a T account for membership fees.
Okay.
Because you need to do workings for the actual club. Alright, so from the T accounts, what was the figure? Let's just reference it. There. Okay, so we've completed that. There's A complete. B needs to be completed. Okay, sales, I need to show the sales. 60,000. Right, by opening stock, I'm going to show it as a working. Okay, so opening stock, 20,000. Add purchases, 50,000. Less return, so minus 500. There are 0 other costs and less the 12,000 Rand opening stock. Closing stock, I should say. Sorry, I said opening, closing. Right, then sum up. Okay, just to add and subtract. Cost of sales is that figure, okay, as a negative. Right, remember, cost of sales is a negative. In accounting, you show negatives in brackets. Okay, my negatives here should be in brackets. But I can't put brackets in Excel. It changes it to a minus. Have a look. Okay, look, bracket 500 minus. All right, so it's a negative. Right, so what do? I subtract. There's my gross profit. So from the trading entity, well, the trading side of the entity, from the refreshment sales, 2,500 was made as a profit for this club. So where's my... There, profit from the refreshments. 2,500. Right, so now I can sum up this bit here at the bottom. Okay, I've got fees for the tournament. We need to put that in. That's just as is. Okay, I'm going to put a... Okay, here's my working column. And then here's my total column. Right, so in my working column, I had all those income amounts. Okay, so let's sum up. All my income adds up to 78,000. Okay, expenses, no working. Here's a working. No working. No working. No working. Working. Right, so same thing. There's all my workings. Add up. Okay, 70,500. So here's a good club. This club makes a little surplus.
Right.
Okay, surplus for the year.
Do you think I should revise this the study unit?
Well, it depends. How much of the question did you understand? Do you feel like you need to go back and revise? If you do, then it's a good idea.
I think maybe I must.
Okay, yeah, I would look at examples. I would look at the structure. I would look at the layout. I would look at the formats. Okay, it's actually the same as a sole proprietor. The only thing that's different is the vocabulary and the different types of income line items you have under each of these headings.
Okay.
Okay, those headings are basic headings, just looking at all the income, all the expenses. Right, I'm just listing them all as 1. Okay, everything that I earn in terms of the operations of the club. Okay, so this martial arts club generates income from tournament fees, interest income from investments, okay, profit from the canteen sales of refreshments, entrance fees from new members attending the club, and membership fees for members that belong to the club. And they make up, or they generate 78,256 a year. Okay, that income has to pay for the expenses of the club. The club needs to pay for telephone, wages, water, interest, the tournament expenses, and depreciation. And that gives you that.
Okay.
Okay, and that's it. That's A, B, and C complete. Right, so now that we've done the question, now we would literally go to the multiple choice and then we'll be choosing options. Right, depending on what they're asking you for. They can ask you for anything here. They can ask you, how much was the cost of sales for this refreshment canteen? And then you would choose option 57,500 if they asked you for cost of sales for the trading business of the club.
Okay.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. Long question, short question, multiple choice question. You have to always do workings. Okay, workings are important. Those are my workings for question 2. Happy?
Okay, yes, thank you.
Okay, let's paste the heading, label it, question 3, next question. Right, in terms of time, did that take us half an hour? Yeah, well, a bit more. No, well, how long would we have to have spent on that question? Let's go check. How much time would we have to spend on that question? 34 minutes. Okay, we started at 1. It's now 2. So, yeah, I went a bit longer because of workings and explanation.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Right, let's make up some of the time in the last 2 questions. Okay. Question 3, looking at property, plant, and equipment. Okay, here you've got 50 minutes. Okay, long question, big question. They want the general ledger accounts and they want the PPE notes. Okay, so now you know what they're asking you for. Right, and then you've got multiple choice.
Do you need the statement of, the financial position when you have PPE?
Well, property, plant, and equipment is part of the statement of financial position. The statement of financial position has assets. Under assets, you have non-current assets and you have current assets. Right, and then under those, you'd have all the assets, right? So PPE would be a note, okay, under the non-current assets of the statement of financial position.
Okay.
Okay, did they ask me for the statement of financial position? No, they didn't. They only asked me for the notes. I'm only going to do the notes and I'm going to do the general ledger accounts.
Okay.
Okay, so let's have a look at it. There's it. Question 3, 42 marks, 50 minutes. You can almost pass the exam just by looking at one question. 42 marks is not enough to pass, but it's close enough. Right, depending on how well you do in the question, you're either going to do very well and get lots of the marks, or hopefully get all the easy marks and just pass the question. Okay, you should be passing each question. And that's why I'm saying you need to stick to the time allocation so you don't go over. Okay, this question should take us 50 minutes. It might take us less. Let's see how it goes, okay? Okay, you've got an extract, you've got additional information, and then you've got required, and that's it. Right, it looks like a short question, but it's because of all the workings that you need to do. Right, number A. Prepare the following ledger accounts in the general ledger of Alma Traders, properly balanced off. Asset realization for equipment, accumulated depreciation vehicles. Fine. Right, let's get our format. It's a T account, so I want something that looks like this. Okay, delete everything there. We don't need any of that. Asset realization for equipment. Okay, this is just revision. This is revision that I've covered in those theory videos regarding property, plant, and equipment. Okay, so just to highlight this as revision, okay, this is a working account. Right, it doesn't have a balance. Right, there's no debit balance, credit balance, there's nothing. Right, the asset realization account is used for determining the profit or loss on sale when disposing of an asset. Okay, I'm going to show the cost and the accumulated depreciation for the asset that I'm going to be disposing of. Okay, asset realization refers to the asset disposal. All right, then what else do I need to show? I need to show an accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation. T account for vehicles. Okay, here's my tip. If you've watched my content videos regarding PPE, you would have seen that I've used, or that I use, timelines. Okay, so just a note here, NB. This is the technique. Okay, the best approach when looking at anything regarding property, plant, and equipment is to draw a timeline, right, to show where the assets are for that particular year, right? And you'll see how easy it is once I've done that. Okay, right, what else do I need to do? Complete the note for property, plant, and equipment in the financial statements of Alma. There's the key, year end 30 June 2019. The total column can be omitted. Okay, so we don't have to worry about the total column. Perfect. All right, so this I need to go remember in terms of template. Okay, so let me label this. This is A, and then we've got B. Okay, PPE note. Right, so obviously this is studying, so you have to go learn what the note looks like. The note looks like this. Okay, cost, accumulated depreciation, carrying value at the beginning of the year. What is the year end? 30 June 2019. So the beginning of the year would have been 1st July 2018. 1 July 2018. Okay, then you have movements during the years. Right, additions. Disposals at carrying value. Depreciation. Okay, then you have the same as before, but at the end of the year. So, 30 June 2019. Okay, and there's the structure. Right, that's format, layout, disclosure.
Okay.
Right, so that's what I'm writing down for my template, because that's what the answer is going to have to look like. Right, then I'm going to have different columns for different assets. Okay, depending on how many I've got. Okay, looking at the question, I probably have minimum of 2. Because I've got vehicles and I've got equipment. Okay, so I can see 2 assets from before. Right, I might have more, but we'll see when we actually do the question. Right, so I've looked at format, I've scoped out the required, I know what they're asking me for. Right, T accounts for those 2 accounts, and then a PPE note looking at property, plant, and equipment for the year end. Obviously, your answer needs to comply with IFRS. Right, we know that. That's why we need to remember the formats. All calculations must be shown. That's why you need to draw a timeline. Okay, show workings. No notes on the accounting policies required. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, that's just disclosure, additional disclosure looking at the accounting policy. Okay, now we go to the question. Right, the question starts there. Okay, it's 1 page. Good, we can look at 1 page. Extract from the list of balances. 30 June 2019. Is that beginning or end?
It's the beginning.
No, it's the end.
Beginning of the, is it the end?
Year end 30 June 2019.
Right, okay.
Year end 30 June 2019. Okay, so what is this? It's the end of the year. Right, land and buildings. That's the assets.
Assets, right.
Right, so land and buildings. What are we going to show? Cost at the end of the year. Was that what we were given? Yeah, land and buildings. Okay, land and buildings aren't depreciated. So the cost and the accumulated depreciation doesn't really make much of a difference, because it will be 0 for the depreciation. You don't depreciate land and buildings. All right, so this was 3.9 million. Too many zeros. Okay, 3.9 million, that's right. Okay, that's the carrying value, end of the year, which would also be the cost. Okay, because you don't depreciate buildings, so you can only put that in. Right, let's underline and bold that. Let's look at the next one. Okay, so I've looked at that. Vehicles at cost 1 July 2018. That's important. Beginning or end? Beginning. Same with this. Equipment at cost 1 July, beginning. Okay, so 1.2 million, 900,000. Vehicles and equipment. Okay, the cost was at the beginning of the year. That's what we read in the question. 1.2 million. One more zero. 1.2 million, that's right. Okay, other amount, equipment, 900,000. Right, the question told me this was the cost at the beginning of the year. So there's the cost line item, there's the beginning of the year. Insert. Okay, tick, tick. Next, accumulated depreciation vehicles. 1 July, 1 July. Again, this is at the beginning of the year. So I've got the accumulated for the vehicles and the equipment. Right, vehicles 414,414,134. Okay, quite a weird number. 414, what is it, 134. Okay, for vehicles. Accumulated depreciation at the beginning of the year. 414,130. Do you see that? 414,130, right? 34.
Right.
Accumulated depreciation for equipment, 110,000. Right, is it possible to work out my carrying value at the beginning of the year?
Yes.
Good. Okay, remember, accumulated depreciation is a negative. These would be in brackets. Right, accountants show negatives in brackets. So I would subtract the accumulated depreciation from the cost. So let's work it out. Right, I can work that out already because I already have the beginning amounts. I've got the cost and I've got the accumulated, so I might as well put that in already. Okay, so we've looked at this. Let's carry on and look at the rest. Additional information. 2.1. On March 2016, Alma Traders purchased equipment for 150,000. On June 2019, Alma decided to scrap the equipment. Okay, so this was in the past. You bought equipment on that date. You sold the equipment on this date. The accumulated depreciation on the equipment that was scrapped was 35,000 at June 30th, 2018. Where is June 30th, 2018?
It's at the end. No, the beginning.
Yeah, it's the beginning of this year, end of last year. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, no other equipment was purchased or sold in the current financial year. Perfect. So let's draw our diagram. Right, let's put our start. 1 July 2018. Okay, 30 June 2019. Right, that's the start. That's the end. Okay, this is the easiest, simplest, best approach when looking at property, plant, and equipment. If you can draw diagrams for this section, you'll get the question right every time, all the time. You just need to look at your diagram. Right, so I know what the start is, I know what the end is.
Okay.
Okay, let's put the dates on the diagram. 1 March 2016, purchased equipment for 150. Okay, that would have been the cost. Okay, obviously accumulated depreciation would have been 0 when you buy the asset new. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, then they tell you in the question, 30 June 2018. Right, 30 June 2018 is the same as 1st July 2018. Do you agree? End of last year is
Yes.
the beginning of this year, right?
Mhm.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, what did you see in the question? Accumulated depreciation on the equipment that was scrapped at 30 June 2018 was 35,000. So, 35,000. Is the cost still 150,000?
Yes.
Good. Okay, you can't change the cost. You can't go back in time and change
Yeah.
how much you paid for something, right? Okay, so the cost
Yes.
will stay at 150. It doesn't matter when I bought and how long ago that was. All right, I've got the cost, I've got the accumulated. Can I work out the carrying value?
Yeah. Cost minus accumulated.
Yes. Okay, see, this is the process. This is the exam technique. All right, as you read things in the question, you populate your diagram, you work out things as you go. I just read the cost. I now know what the accumulated is. Can I work out the carrying? Yes. Okay, so now do I know what the
Yes.
carrying value of the vehicle is? Yes. The asset that's disposed of is 150,000, okay, and accumulated depreciation of 35, 100, ooh, minus here, almost made a mistake. Okay, it's a negative, so you subtract. Okay, 150 minus 35 is 115.
So 115 is what the vehicle is currently valued at.
At
Its
the
value.
beginning of the year.
Okay. Fine.
Yes, good. Right, so have I read all of that? Yes, tick. Okay, next. 2.2. Alma Traders purchased a new building on 1 Feb 2019 for 1.4 mil. Okay, so 1 Feb 2019 is during the year. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so what figure did we have? We had the figure at the end of the year. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right, so if I bought 1.4 million Rand worth of buildings during the year, what would I have started with? The difference. Does that make sense?
The difference with what? Sorry.
I ended. So I have a building of 3.9 million.
Yes.
Okay, I bought a 1.4 million Rand building
Oh, so
during the
you
year.
add. Did you add?
Did I add? Well, I would have added what I started with. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
so the difference is what I started with. I'm subtracting to get back to the beginning.
Okay.
Okay, so what did the land and buildings cost at the beginning of the year? 2.5 million. Okay, because of the addition.
Right.
All right, that was point number 2. We've looked at point number 2, tick. Point number 2.3. On 30 November 2018, Alma sold a delivery vehicle for 100,000 cash. The vehicle was bought on 30 June 2015 at an amount of 250,000. Right, more to add to our diagram. Okay. What date was this? 30 November 2018. That's during this year? Yes, it is. Okay, so somewhere around there. 30 November 2018. 30 November 2018. Alma sold a delivery vehicle for 100,000 cash. Proceeds from the sale, 100,000. The vehicle was bought
What's
on 1
proceeds?
June 2015.
Okay.
Before the year, 1 June 2015. 1 June 2015 at an amount of 250. The accumulated depreciation on the delivery vehicle sold was 124,134 on 1 July. Okay, so where is 1 July? 1 July is there. Okay, so we're here. Delete this. This needs to come up here at the bottom. Okay, this asset's being sold. Okay, not the other one. That other one we didn't sell. We still have that asset. Okay, this is the asset that's being sold. Okay, so we sold an asset here. We bought the asset there. Okay, the asset that's disposed of in terms of its accumulated depreciation. We read in the question, accumulated depreciation on the delivery vehicle sold was 124,134. 124,134. 124,134 on 1 July 2018. On 1 July 2018. Great. Okay, there's the start of the year. Right, does the cost change? No. You bought the vehicle for 250,000. The cost will stay at 250,000. Can I work out the carrying value here?
Yes.
Yes, I can. This minus that. Okay, I'm going to add and then just make this a negative. Oops. Minus. There. Okay, this minus that gives you carrying value. Okay, now I've read that information. I've put that information on my diagram. Okay, what else do we have there? That was it, eh? Yes, we read everything. Tick. Right, next. 2.4. A new vehicle was bought on 31st December 2018. Okay, so that's November. Now we're in December. 31st December 2018. Okay, what happened on 31st December 2018? A new vehicle was bought. Cost of the new vehicle, 190,000. Right, so have we read that? Yes. We've got the date, we've got the amount, we've got the date, we've got the amount, it's on our diagram. Okay, there's the start, there's the end. That happened during the year. 30th November, during the year. 30 December, during the year. Okay, what else do we have? Let's go back. Right, I've looked at that. 2.5. Depreciation on equipment is provided for at 10% straight line. Okay, NB. Equipment, 10% straight line.
So just times the cost by 10%.
Yes, cost times 10% is correct if it's straight line. 2.6. Depreciation on vehicles, diminishing balance method, 20%. Right, and that's it. Now we've read the question. Was that it? Yes, that was the end. And then the required. Okay, so now I've got everything. Now I don't even have to look at the question. I can look at my diagram. Okay, because I've got all the information on my diagram. Right, so what is the first that I need to do? Here, asset realization, equipment. Okay, so let's go look. Where is my asset realization for equipment? Here's equipment. What did they say here? You didn't sell equipment, did you? Oh, you did. Here's it. Oh, there was a sale. Actually, I should have kept that there. I moved it down. You sold two things. Asset that's disposed of, asset that's disposed of. Okay, I should have left it there as well. There were two things that you disposed of. Does that make sense? Right. Are you following? Are you okay with that?
You just broke up when you said that. Could you just repeat what you said? Sorry.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, what I said here was when looking at the equipment, okay, you had sold two items, okay, because when we read this, right, we read this here, scrapped the equipment.
Right.
Do you see that? And then here, you sold one.
Yeah.
Right, so you sold a vehicle and you scrapped the equipment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, when you scrapped the vehicle, the value was 35,000. Does that make sense?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Right, so what do they want in the question? They want the asset realization for equipment. Okay, so asset realization for equipment, it's a disposal, but it's a scrapping.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not selling the vehicle, we're scrapping the vehicle. Right, so all we need is just the cost. When did we scrap the vehicle? The date. It was the 30th of June. Alma Traders decided to scrap the vehicle. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, 30 June 2019. Where's 30 June 2019? Here, 30 June 2019.
Right.
Okay, so this is looking at the scrapping of the vehicle. See? Okay, scrapping the vehicle, not the vehicle, sorry, I said vehicle. On 30 June, Alma decided to scrap the equipment. Okay, so what did we scrap? The equipment. Here's the equipment. Alright, so we're looking at that timeline. Alright, so what did the equipment cost? Here, the equipment cost 150,000. There was accumulated of 35,000. Equipment is calculated using straight line. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're scrapping the equipment on 30th of June, did you use the equipment during the year?
Yes.
Yes, you would have. Good. Okay, so depreciation for the year would have been 150,000 times 10% straight line.
Right.
Okay, so depreciation equals 15,000. Right, so if I'm looking at the machine that I'm scrapping here at the end of the year, the cost is going to be, the accumulated depreciation is going to be, let's see, and then the carrying value is going to be, let's work it out. So, costs, 150. Accumulated, what I had there, minus another 15,000. Okay, so carrying value at the end of the year would have been this minus that. Right, so there's the diagram. Right, there's the beginning of the year, there's the depreciation during the year, there's the end of the year. The cost is still the cost, the accumulated has increased. I had 35 at the beginning, I had an additional 15 during, I've got 50,000 at the end. Right, this depreciation was during the year. Okay, depreciation has to be recorded during the year. So, this was equipment, hey? So the equipment is going to go there. The depreciation for the year, so far, I've got 15,000. Right, 15,000 is depreciation on the asset that was scrapped. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. The carrying value. How much was the carrying value of the vehicle that was scrapped? 100,000. Disposals at carrying value. These should all be negative because it's in brackets. Okay, these are depreciation amounts. Okay, and then disposals. Disposal, negative. Negative what amount? That amount, 100,000. Right, there's my disposal. Right, so I've looked at the disposal of the equipment in terms of what I've scrapped. Okay, they want me to show that in an asset realization account. Okay, so when I look at an asset realization account, if I'm looking at equipment, the equipment cost would have a debit balance. So if it has a debit balance, the cost will be on the debit side. So you would have equipment, asterisk, this is representing the cost. Okay, how much is the cost? We saw that earlier. Where's the cost? Here's the cost, 150,000. Okay. The next thing that needs to go to this account is the accumulated depreciation. So, accumulated depreciation, asterisk. Okay, this is going to be at the scrapping date. Right, how much depreciation did you have at the scrapping date? We could even show working in brackets. I had the 35 at the beginning plus the 15 during. That gives me 50,000. Right, if you look at this account, okay, because you've scrapped the asset, you didn't generate any income. Okay, which side's bigger? This side is bigger. Right, so you need to balance this account off. So the balancing figure on this account is going to be for a loss on disposal. How much did I lose on the disposal? $150 minus 50. Is that okay?
Right, yeah.
All right, so an asset realization account has the cost on the debit side and it has the accumulated on the credit side. All right, if you're selling a vehicle, okay, if I sold the vehicle, you would have the same thing, but you'll have a vehicle cost here, you'll have a vehicle accumulated here, and then you'll have a profit or loss, but you'll also have proceeds. All right, if I had to show proceeds here were 0. So you didn't sell the vehicle. Sometimes when you look at other questions, there is proceeds. Okay, then you would have bank here because you would have debited the bank increases, you would have credited the asset realization account. Okay, this would have been proceeds, but there were none. 0 because it was scrapped, no proceeds. And that's the first part. All right, so now you've looked at the equipment. Okay, I've recorded that in my books as well. Okay, I've recorded the scrapping. Okay, next requirement. Here's the next requirement. Accumulated depreciation for vehicles. All right, so I'm looking at vehicles. I need to go look at my diagram. Where do we have vehicles? Here's a new vehicle bought. Okay, there's a vehicle. Okay, and here's a vehicle.
Right.
Right, so those are my two timelines. Okay, I've got one here at the top and I've got one there at the bottom. Okay, start with the easy one first. Let's look at this one. Okay, let's get some easy marks for that. Okay, before, let's just record the opening balances. Okay, remember this is accumulated depreciation, which is vehicles. What type of account is this?
Negative asset.
Good, so the balance will be on the credit side. Okay, the balance was given in the question. There's the balance. Okay, you've got it. All right, so balance at the beginning of the year was 414,134. 414,134. 414,134. Great. Okay, there's the opening balance. Okay, we had to start with something. All right, now we can look at the current year. Right, so if I've got a vehicle, I bought the vehicle on the 31st of December. How long have I had the vehicle for? December to January. Have you used the vehicle during that period of time?
Yes.
Yes, you have. Will you have depreciation for that period of time?
Yes.
Yes, you will. Okay, depreciation, 190,000. Vehicles uses diminishing balance, but diminishing balance on a new vehicle is the same as straight line because there's no accumulated depreciation. Do you agree?
Yes.
So the carrying value is 190. Carrying value times 20%, okay, times the pro rata. Okay, December to June, how many months is that? Not June? Yeah, it is June. It is June, there, 30th of June.
6.
Good. Okay, 6 over 12, answer equals, let's see, 190,000 times 20% times 6 over 12 is 19,000. Okay, there's depreciation. This depreciation is for the new vehicle. So let's show that. Okay, we can show it here. Depreciation for vehicles. I'm going to show one amount. Okay, 19,000. 19,000. That's for the new vehicle. Okay, and I'm going to show it here at the top as well. Okay, depreciation would have been an expense. So you would have debited the depreciation and you would have credited the accumulated.
Right.
Okay, the depreciation for the new vehicle was 19,000. Okay, so we've looked at that. Now let's look at this one. Okay, here's the tricky one because you've got an asset that was disposed of. Okay, so asset that's disposed of, this was the beginning of the year. Okay, when did we dispose the asset?
Yeah.
At the 30th of November. So we need to copy that. We need to paste that here and then we need to do workings. Okay, is the cost still the cost? Yes, the cost is still the cost. All right, so how much depreciation do you have here on the old asset that was used and then sold? Let's work it out. Depreciation from the 1st of July. The carrying value was 125,866 times. What is the rate? 20% diminishing balance. Okay, how many months do we have here? Okay, so July to November. How many months is that? Let's count. July is 1 month because it's the 1st of July. So you count July. July, October, July, August, September, October, November. How many months is that?
5.
Good. Okay, July, August, September, October, November, 5 months is correct. Okay, there's my working. Let's work out the depreciation. Okay, the depreciation for the old asset that was used and then sold. This amount times 20% times 5 over 12 is that figure. Okay, so we need to add that to my depreciation for the vehicles. Okay, my PPE notes. I need to add another amount here. Subtract more depreciation. How much? 10,488.83. Okay, I've got that. I also need to show that here. Depreciation. Depreciation on the old vehicle sold.
Right.
Okay, the amount, what I worked out there. Alright, so I've got the depreciation on the old vehicle sold.
Right.
I've processed that. And then I need to take out the accumulated. So let's add. Accumulated here would have been that figure plus that figure. Right, so the accumulated has increased. Okay, that was at the beginning of the year. This was at the date of the sale. What is the carrying value at the date of the sale? Proceeds, not proceeds, cost minus accumulated. There's the carrying value. Right, this accumulated depreciation is important because this accumulated depreciation is going to come out of your depreciation for the vehicles. Okay, accumulated depreciation vehicles. Let's show it. That's for the disposal. Right, how much am I going to show? I'm going to show the amount that I had here in my timeline. That figure. Okay, that's the amount of depreciation that you're going to take out. Okay, because you've sold the vehicle. If you've sold the vehicle, you're not going to have this accumulated depreciation because you don't have that vehicle any longer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so we've looked at the new, we've looked at the old. We need to look at the remaining vehicles. Okay, when we started this question, they gave us this. Vehicles, copy paste. Cost, accumulated depreciation, carrying value. Okay, the remaining vehicles. So in other words, this is what I started with. Okay, do you agree this amount that I started with would have included this cost and this accumulated depreciation for the vehicle that was sold during the year? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the vehicle that we had disposed of. That information there would have been included in that amount. Right, so what are my remaining vehicles? Less the vehicle disposed. Okay, so let's see. This amount minus the 250 gives me the remaining vehicles. Okay, this amount minus that amount gives me the accumulated depreciation. Carrying value, this minus that. Right, so there's the carrying value. Okay, for the remaining vehicles.
Sure. Do you
Okay, you can
consider this a hard question?
Yes, this is the hardest question out of the ones that they've given you in this paper. It was the longest, it was for the most marks. This was the hardest question. This was the distinction question.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, all the others are doable. This is the one that you're going to get a distinction for. Okay. Right, so remaining vehicles. How much do I have left over? 950,000. Okay, because what I started with included the vehicle that I disposed of. Right, so this carrying value, I need to process. Okay.
Right.
Have I used those remaining vehicles for the whole year?
No. Yeah.
Yes, I have. Those are the remaining
Yes.
vehicles. Those are the vehicles
Yes.
that I started the year with.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so depreciation equals carrying value times 20% equals 132,000. That's the depreciation for the whole year for the remaining vehicles that you've used during the year. Okay, so we need to add that here. Depreciation, negative 120,000. Was that the right figure? Let's just go check. 132,000. Ooh, correct the figure. 132,000. 132,000, 132,000. Great. Okay. And then we need to show that here as well. There's the 132,000. All right, so now that you have the remaining vehicles, okay, you've got everything here in the accumulated depreciation. You just need to balance this account. Okay, remember this is a negative asset, so you would expect this to have a credit balance. So if I sum up the left and the right should be bigger. Okay, so balance carried down. Balance brought down. The balance will be the difference between those two figures. This minus that. There we go. Okay. Right, that's the balance as per the account for the accumulated depreciation for vehicles. Now you've completed that. So you've done A now. Okay, you've done the first part and the second part, the two tier accounts. Okay, those two tier accounts are complete. Okay, the last bit is just this. We just need to complete our note. Okay, the land and buildings note is complete. The vehicles note is incomplete. Did we have any additions? Yes, we did. Okay, how many vehicles did we buy here? Remember the vehicle we bought, 190,000? I just need to add that to my disclosure. 190,000. Vehicle bought, 190. Okay, disposals at carrying value. Did I sell a vehicle? Yes, I did. Okay, what is my carrying value? I had it here. There. Sold a vehicle. There's the carrying value. I'm going to show this in green. And I'm going to show that there. Okay. This is the carrying value of the vehicle sold. So I need to show that negative 115 with the cents. 17 cents. Okay. All right, have I showed everything? I've shown the additions, I've shown the disposal, I've shown the depreciation. Now I can just conclude. Okay, so the cost. What is my cost going to be? At the end of the year, it's going to be the 120 plus the 190, okay, minus the vehicle that was disposed of. What was the disposal? Where is it? Here. 250,000. Right, there's the cost at the end of the year. Accumulated depreciation at the end is going to be equal to what we had there as the balance. Right, that comes from your tier counts. Okay, because this is the balance for the accumulated depreciation account at the end of the year. So this balance must be that balance there in the disclosure, okay, because it comes from the tier counts.
Okay.
Carrying value, this minus that gives you that answer there. Okay, now you've completed the vehicles. The vehicles column is done. Right, we just need to complete the equipment. Okay, equipment. Have we looked at the additions? Equipment. Did we have any additional equipment that we bought? Let's just go check. No, we didn't. So we didn't have any additional equipment. Right, the disposal I did include. Okay, but I still need to look at the rest of the depreciation. Okay, so I'm just going to make some room here. Okay, how much equipment did I start with? 900,000. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, this 150 I sold during the year. So how much did I still have during the year? So in other words, the remaining equipment. The difference. Does that make sense?
Oh, between.
Okay, 900,000 minus 150 equals 900,000 minus 150 equals 750. Equipment held the whole year. In other words, the remaining equipment. Right, so I've looked at the 900,000 as the total. That was at the beginning of the year. 150,000 are sold during the year. Okay, we process it. That's the pink here. Okay, the orangey color here is looking at the other equipment. Okay, so the other equipment needs to be depreciated. 750,000 times, what is the rate? It was 10% straight line, 10%.
Yeah.
75,000. So I need to add that depreciation to this, negative 75,000. Let's just check if that's correct. I didn't work it out. I'm going to work it out quickly. 75,000 times 10% is 75. Okay, that's fine. Right, so now I've completed it. Now I just need to wrap this up. Cost, what is the cost going to be? The cost is going to be 900,000 minus 150 that was sold. Okay, cumulated depreciation at the end of the year is going to be equal to what I started with at the beginning of the year. There's the start. Okay, plus the depreciation I had during the year. Okay, minus the depreciation, minus the accumulated depreciation at the end of the year for the scrap vehicle, 150. Right, accumulated at the end of the year is that figure. And then you just add up these two, or subtract actually. This minus that gives you 600,000. All right, yeah, that was a difficult question.
Yeah.
All right, so how much time did it take us? It's 47 now. So it took us about 45 minutes. So it is a difficult question. You do need to look at all the different assets. Okay, every asset that was bought and sold and used during the vehicle. Right, and that's why this diagram is so important, because if you look at the diagram, you can see all the assets. I've got an asset that I bought previously that I disposed at year end. Here I've got an asset that I bought previously that I disposed during the year. Okay, I've got a new vehicle that I bought during the year. Those are the three assets that were affecting your calculation for the start and the end of the year. All right, and then you just have to look at, well, looking at what I had at the beginning, so in other words, the vehicles and the equipment. Okay, how much of those vehicles and equipment did I have the whole year? I had 750,000 the whole year in terms of equipment, and I had vehicles of 660,000 I had during the whole year. Right, the only reason why I'm showing these other assets is because we need to look at the timing. Okay, how long have we used the assets for, and when did we dispose of those assets?
Okay.
Okay, difficult question. This question is going to give you your distinction. All right, there are some easy workings here that you can do. Right, some of it was easy, some of it was tricky because you had to look at the different amounts. For example, land and buildings, that was easy. That you could have done without looking at vehicles or equipment. Okay, so don't get intimidated. If you do see a question like this, a lot of it will be easy, some of it will be difficult. Okay, where I've got highlights, this was difficult. Okay, that was difficult. That was difficult. Okay, this was a calculation. That's difficult. Equipment wasn't that bad. Okay, the vehicles one. This was the most difficult part of the question. Okay, that was the easy part of the question. That was fair. Okay, so there's easy, there's fair, and there's difficult. So you should be able to pass each question because every question will have some easy and then some difficult.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So try to do as much of that as possible. Right. Again, just look at past papers. Go through more past paper questions. You will see other property, plant, and equipment questions. It's very popular. They don't always ask for the note though. Sometimes they ask for workings, okay, tier counts. This one gave you both, all right, and that's why it was so challenging.
Okay. So it's
Okay.
worth, I'm saying it's worth my time to go back and revise the study unit if it's popular.
If you've got the time, try, okay, because at least then you can see how those activities are completed, yes.
Okay.
Okay, but at this point in time, if you're writing on the 25th, that gives you, 2 weeks? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually a week. Well, a week and a few days.
Like 10
All right.
days.
I don't think there's enough time to go through the whole study guide again. Okay, you should have gone through it before. I would rather just focus on past papers. Do as many questions as possible. Do the question, check the question, and then revise, and then complete it, and then repeat the process.
Okay.
Okay, because with those other past papers that I've done before, I've given you the video, so you can actually watch me do the question, and you can see, well, okay, did I do the right thing? So I would do the question first, and then take your answer, have your answer in front of you, watch the video, things that you get right, then just tick it, and then move on, or check the answer, because I've emailed you the answers as well, so you can check your answer, you can mark it ahead of time. Right, if you didn't do so well, then maybe go watch that part of the video and just see, well, how did I actually do that question? How did I go through the question? Because then I show exactly how I got to that answer.
Okay, great.
Okay, it's very similar to what I'm doing now. So for tomorrow, I would ask you to look at May, June 2019. Okay, because after today, we're going to finish October, November 2019. Right, so now for tomorrow, if you can, try do as many of those May, June 2019 questions as possible. Right, then you've got something that you can check in terms of what I've done. Okay, because we don't have a solution for it yet. Tomorrow we will. Okay, tomorrow I'll create the solution. I'll show you exactly how to work out everything. And then as we go through that, you can check, well, what did you do ahead of time? How much of it did you do correctly? How much of it didn't you? And those items that you were struggling with, then you can improve on looking at the actual working when we go through it.
Okay, that sounds
good. That's the best approach. That's the best advice I can give you in terms of preparation. Okay, with a subject like this, it's very, very practical. The only way you can do well is just do questions and just do past paper questions.
Right.
Okay, last question, and then we can wrap up this past paper.
Also, sorry, just as a side point, I wanted to know if I send you my economics. Hello?
I lost you there. You didn't. The connection broke. You said if you send me the economics.
Yes. Do you think you'd be able to help me?
Well, I have to look at it first. I've done economics, but that's not what I've majored in. So it's not an area of speciality for me. But if you just need help with maths related calculations with regard to economics, I mean, I can look at it and I can give you my opinion whether I can assist you or not.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so you can email me. I'll look at it and then I'll comment.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's just finish this last bit and then we've covered this past paper. Multiple choice. Okay, this you can even do. Okay, you can tell me which answer you're going to choose. Okay, here's a practice question. Okay, you're going to have to choose multiple choice in the online assessment. Here's the first one. Which of the following is incorrect regarding the perpetual system? Number A, the perpetual system keeps a continuous track of inventory levels for the various inventory items that are sold. Is that correct or not?
Correct.
B, the use of scanners and barcodes enable an entity to apply the perpetual system method.
Yes, correct.
No physical inventory count should be done.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, there can be an inventory count, but that's when you do an audit. So this one's a bit of an iffy one, but we'll leave it for now. Let's just read the others.
Okay.
The perpetual inventory method suits an entity that sells easily identifiable items.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, you need to monitor and track every item all the time. So that's correct. Easily identifiable, that's perfect. The purchase of inventory is recorded in the inventory account at its cost price.
I think there's no cost price with perpetual.
With perpetual, you have to record it at the cost price. What other price are you going to record?
Oh, that's cost of. Oh, I think it's cost of sales. I'm getting confused.
Yeah, cost of sales is something different. Cost of sales is looking at when you sell the product. Then you need to account for the cost of the sale. Cost of sales will include other things as well. Okay, the purchase price is recorded in the inventory account at its cost price. Yes, if you're buying stock, what you bought the stock for would be recorded at that price.
Okay.
Okay, so the one that would be incorrect
is that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2, the owner of SP Hairdressers took 1,000 cash from the cash register to pay for her son's school camp. Which is the correct statement? The bank will be debited and the drawings account will be credited. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Good. Okay, you're not going to credit drawings. That's completely incorrect.
Yeah.
The drawings account will be debited and the bank account will be credited with 1,000.
Yes.
Okay, that's correct. Okay, I should have crossed that. Okay, I ticked it because you were right. Your answer was correct. You said that's wrong. Okay, sorry. It's getting a bit confusing now. Let me put a cross. Okay, yeah, so your answer was correct. A is false. Your answer is correct. B is true. Okay, let's just check the others. C, the drawings account will be debited. It would. Inventory, no. Okay, you're not taking stock. You're taking cash.
Right.
Inventory will be debited. No. Inventory account will be debited. No. Well done. Okay, number 3. In the conversion from a single entry system into a double entry system, any mistakes found in an individual's debtors and creditors account should be rectified in the which journal?
In the general journal.
Good. Easy question. General journals for other corrections, changes, all of that stuff. These journals are specific for different transactions. Debentures are classified in the statement of financial position as what?
What's a debenture again?
Okay, a debenture is a loan that's broken up into sections. They split it into different portions. Okay, a debenture is normally for a big loan. So if a business, so for example, let's say a business wants 100 million as a loan. Okay, if the business wants 100 million, it's going to be difficult to get 100 million from one lender. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do? They basically split the 100 million into 1 million rand debentures.
Okay.
And they say, who wants this loan? I'll give you 1 million rand loan. Who wants this loan? Who wants this loan? Who wants this loan? Who wants this loan? So a debenture, it's kind of like, it's like loans that have been broken. It's a big loan that's been broken up into smaller loans. Right? In terms of classification, because it's normally for something that's longer term, it's normally recorded under the non-current liabilities, this one.
Okay.
Okay, it's a liability. A debenture is a loan. It's a liability. So it must either be A or E. Okay, because it's a debenture, it's non-current, it's long-term. It's more long-term in nature.
Okay.
Okay, 4E. 4E is correct. Great. And then the last one. Let's look at number 5. An expense which has been paid during the current financial period and where part of the expense relates to a future financial period is considered to be a what?
Prepaid expense. Good.
Okay, yeah, there you go. You just got 5%. Okay, that's an easy 5%. Everyone can get that, right? It's just a little bit of theory, a little bit of basic debits, credits, right?
Yes, no.